From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. Jeffrey Wright will join us here in a little bit. It's the first day of the Masters, so there's every day to talk some golf. Today is probably it, so he and I do that for the majority of a 26-minute interview with Jeffrey coming up here in a little while on the podcast, brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Remember, Craddock Oil is the presenting sponsor of the FCA breakfast on the Ole Miss campus. It's at the Manning Center, April 27th. The Kessinger family, the special guest for that one. So you can find out more. You can get tickets and more information at OleMissFCA.com. And when you stop in at Blue Sky, remember to take advantage of their $4.99 lunch specials. Their ribs every single night. Call ahead. They'll pack them up. They'll have them ready to go for you, wet or dry, there at the Oxford Exxon. Also, get your Stadium Cup at Swayze Field this weekend. 49-cent refills whenever you have that Stadium Cup. You take it into a Blue Sky location in Mississippi. Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call the number. Ask for Corey Clark. If you think you're in the market for a vehicle, even if you're not necessarily convinced you want a Ford, give Corey a call. Get a quote. That quote's going to do nothing for you except give you, at the very least, a baseline kind of moving forward, an idea moving forward about what you should expect. And it just might do what it did for me and a lot of others, and that's intrigue you enough to look in further. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He'll prove it to you. Get a quote and then go from there. See what happens. 662-257-1900. Great service after the sale. Corey will make it happen. They delivery options, whatever it is that you need to make it happen, they'll get it done. And then at the end of your deal, tell Corey you heard about Clark Ford on the podcast. Mention any of our family of podcasts, and you'll save $500 off the already great line at Clark Ford and Amory. Again, 662-257-1900.
I saw your mailbag yesterday. Probably get into a little bit of that as the day goes on, the podcast goes on here in a bit. It was one of your longer ones. You actually had some detailed responses in that one yesterday.
I try. I mean, it's.
I did not mean that condescending. I just noticed a little more length than sometimes.
That's what she said.
Hey.
Yeah. There were some really good questions in there that deserved solid answers, and there were some that deserved better answers than they got. And quite frankly, I just kind of ran out of time.
You've probably inspired people with your weight loss thing. No, you never really think of yourself as an inspirational figure, but no. You probably have.
Well, I mean, I hope so. I mean,
because you were kind of every man at that point.
I mean, I was. I don't want to. I'm not some hero on this. I'm really not. But
you're so uncomfortable with praise, it cracks me up.
But here's the thing with me, and I wrote about this, and I as I wrote it, I thought, God, I probably shouldn't write this. It's probably going to impact a life insurance policy or something down the road. But I battle depression. I do. I have since I was a kid. Looking back, I know I did. I know I did. I know I do. I do. Mine does not require medical treatment. It does not require pharmaceutical treatment, and I am absolutely not criticizing anybody who does in any form. I'm just for context. And I have noticed beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's not. It's. I could say it's in my head because it's all in your brain. Your brain's a pretty powerful thing. As I get big, as I put weight on, as I start to look bad in clothes again, my self-worth goes down. Is it ridiculous that that's tied together? Of course. I freely admit that. But it is what it is. And so for me, if I get into a pretty aggressive exercise regimen and I'm careful about what I eat and I get weight off, as I get leaner and as I get more comfortable with the way that I look, my outlook on life gets better. It's tied together. It absolutely is tied together. And so, yeah, I mean, if that inspires people, I mean, because I've said this before. I mean, the guy that can walk around, I mean, I was 270. 6'1", 270 is fat. I hear guys go, well, I'm just big boned, I'm husky, whatever. No, you're fat. But it's okay. If you're happy that way and it doesn't faze you, and you put your clothes on and you walk into the house and you say, hey, baby, I'm home, and you feel great about it, good for you. Enjoy the cheeseburger. And I mean that I mean that seriously. Because I'm sometimes kind of jealous of those kind of people, but I'm not that guy. I never have been. And it took me a long time to kind of figure it out. And you know, you and I've talked about this before. Tony Horton on P90X, yeah, he's kind of gooby. He's kind of obnoxious. But for whatever reason, at that point in my life, 2009, I just locked in on him. In my mind, I told myself, it's just me and him. No one can see me.
You got a clock that's ticking down going, hey, just do this one, do this one,
yeah.
do this one.
And when he would say, just hit play, just show up, just hit play, hit pause if you got to hit pause, but come back and hit play. And after a while, I would say, you know what?
Okay.
I'm just going to do what you're telling me to do. I'm just going to do what you're telling me to do. And then I kind of started that negotiating thing with myself about the yoga, because I literally could not do the yoga. I mean, I was falling down, and there was one time when I fell and I banged into the closet pretty hard and stuff, and it was like, okay, this is stupid. I'm going to get hurt doing the yoga and prevent me from doing the other stuff. So what can I do? And that's when I said, all right, well, we're going to negotiate, because the real truth about exercise, and I think you'll agree with this, is you want to get your heart rate elevated for a period of time. And so much of P90X is not that it's a sophisticated series of exercises. It's that for 50 minutes or 52 minutes.
It's fairly constant.
Yeah. And so your heart rate gets elevated, which, you know, I mean, and so I said, okay, so I can't do the yoga. Let me do the yoga until I hit the point where it's just so frustrating that I'm not, it's no longer effective. And then I'll immediately go outside and I'll go walk/run that amount of time that's left, because yoga was 90 minutes. And so if I got through 30, I owed 60 minutes. And I had a music thing, whatever it's called.
You played Pandora or something.
Yeah. And I would just go out and I would run until I couldn't breathe. And then I'd walk until I could breathe again. And then I'd run a little bit and I'd go do 60 minutes. And over the course of time, I got better at the yoga. I finally got to where I could do the yoga for about 50 minutes. I never got further than that. And by then, in large part, I would quit the yoga after 50 minutes because I wanted to go run. Running for me was therapeutic on a lot of levels, mostly mental. So, yeah, I mean, if that inspires people, great. I hope it does. I'm a big believer in, there's a lot of guys out there, and frankly, there's probably a lot of girls out there too that just keep a lot of stuff inside, and you got to figure out a way to deal with some of that stuff. And if something makes you feel better, it's probably makes you feel better about yourself. It's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and again, we'll talk about it more in the future. But I mean, now your kind of goal is, hey, figure out a way to maintain. I mean, it's all of our goals for the most part, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I hate the number. I mean, I really do. I hate the number, but it is just a number. But I'm 9 months away from being 50, and I don't want to be that 50-year-old guy that he can't do anything. I want to be able to get out, and it's fun for me. This is the last team I'll coach, because Carson's about to be in middle school and stuff. He's not going to be playing OPC stuff anymore, realistically. But, you know, I mean, it's kind of fun I do want to be able to get out with him and throw a baseball, or if he's kicking footballs or something, be able to catch them and throw them back to him. I do want to have some basic health. And then, I don't know, sometimes, like I wrote this yesterday. Laura doesn't know it unless she reads the mailbag. Sometimes she does. Usually she doesn't, but she might. I do want to run a 5th marathon. I don't know that I'm going to be able to. Honestly, I don't know that my feet are going to let me run a 5th marathon. I have flat feet. I have some bunion issues. My feet just sometimes hurt. Even when I'm in really good shape and I run distances, my feet are just – and I don't want to do that. I don't want to mess up my feet to the point that I can't do other things either. So, but I play with the idea. But if I'm going to do it, the one thing I've decided is I'm going to get really in shape from a weight standpoint before I start that kind of pounding on your feet.
Well, yeah, because you have to be in a certain level of shape to even start the training. I mean, it's just required. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, you can't – because when I started marathon training, really the first couple 3 weeks of marathon training, I was cutting back on the amount that I ran because I was running 40 miles a week every week, sometimes 50 miles a week.
Good grief. Wow.
But if you take it from the max to the minimum, I lost about 80 pounds. I lost too much, really. Because I started kind of almost got. You
lost it in the wrong way.
Yeah, I did. And so I lost it in almost a kind of unhealthy way.
You got fairly anorexic there in a while.
Yeah, I've told people this. I got to a place where I was scared to eat.
Yeah.
And that's not good. And, in a house where you have kids and stuff and you're setting an example, whether you think you are or not, that wasn't healthy. So I'm as I grow up, I'm starting to figure some of this out. But I'll tell you this, man, and you know this now because you're doing it. Parenting is hard. It's just hard. Because sometimes your kids will say things where you realize, God, man, they look at me as a role model, even though I think that's insane. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's you do set examples with everything that you do with your kids. So I'm more cognizant of that as mine get a little older.
Well, my age right now with my child is the one where you first start picking that up because you're getting. They're repeating phrases and things that you don't even realize you say, and then you go, crap, do I say that often? Like, is that really something I do? Because they're mimicking everything at 3 years old. So it's a situation where, yeah, I'm constantly cognizant of, hey, am I saying this the correct way? Am I doing this? Because she's already picking up this base foundation of kind of how to act through just what I'm doing in front of her, and I don't even know it half the time. So,
yeah, the answer to your question is yes.
Yes, the answer is always yes. Yes, that is correct.
It's emphatic yes.
Yeah, like we haven't had any cuss words come out or anything, but she is repeating phrases and things. I'm not really a big cusser, so that's not a big problem. But she, I am noticing phrases and different things at this point. So she repeats everything I say to the dog. She started saying that to the dog too. So I realize I'm actually kind of ugly to the dog occasionally. She'll look at me and be like, be nice. I'm like, okay, I'll try. I'm giving it a shot. Well, if he would quit barking and yelling, okay, fine. All right, we're going to get into a little bit more. We're going to get to Jeffrey in a few minutes. Kentucky last night will come into Oxford this weekend after a win. They beat Lipscomb, the grammatically incorrect Bisons, Neil, 6-2 last night. Mississippi State beat South Alabama 7-5 last night. And then there's a couple dog games on ESPN tonight, or the ESPN family of networks, or whatever it is. It is South Carolina at Florida, a series that Florida absolutely has to have if they have any chance as they're moving forward, because frankly, they're in trouble from a postseason standpoint. And then Georgia at Tennessee. I certainly like the Bulldogs to go into Knoxville and get a couple this weekend.
Oh, you do?
I think that's a safe bet, yeah. I feel good about Georgia getting at least 2 wins in Tennessee this weekend. Breaking.
Yeah, I'll just say at the end of the year, I think Ole Miss needs to get 3 of those.
You think they need all 3 of them?
I think it would really help.
There are some fun series, though, this weekend that I'm interested in. Running through that quickly, South Carolina at Florida, Alabama at Mississippi State. State one of those series where you almost feel like you need 3 when you play Alabama. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
They're at Starkville this weekend. And then from a just intriguing series based on one of these teams, I'm more locked into this than anywhere not in Oxford this weekend. LSU's at Missouri. LSU coming off some difficult weeks, losing the midweek game to Southern, struggling offensively at times, going to Columbia where Missouri can pitch it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting series. If you told me the Tigers, or the East Tigers, scared LSU a little bit, I wouldn't be stunned this weekend in Columbia.
And you know the other thing about that is you're LSU, you're used to playing in front of 8 gazillion people, and it's rowdy and it's a party and all that stuff. And
even when you kind of go to town somewhere else and then not here.
Yeah, you know, when they come to Oxford, it's a big deal, and they can they can feed off the crowd. Starkville, feed off the crowd.
Well, yeah, because you look at the SEC West, everywhere's got huge crowds except for Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A&M's got big crowds. Arkansas's got big crowds. It's a good environment. It might not be as crazy an environment or whatever, but you can feed off the crowd. There's people in the outfield yelling at you and stuff. When you go to Missouri, man, there's nobody there.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to create your own energy, and it's hard to hit that pitching staff sometimes. No, I'm with you. That's a dangerous little spot for LSU.
Yeah, and then Auburn at Texas A&M. That's a fun series this weekend. Again, there's going to be so much cannibalism in the SEC West. Just enjoy the ride. And then the Hogs, tied with Ole Miss right now with LSU at the top of the SEC West. Arkansas in Nashville this weekend to play the Vanderbilt Commodores. So Vanderbilt coming off a series loss to Georgia this past weekend. So that is your weekend slate. One of the better weekend slates all the way around. Frankly, the 2 worst series are the 2 that are on national television tonight. But again, nobody thought Florida was going to be a bad baseball team going into the year, and that's kind of where they are right now. All right, Ole Miss. Really, the only news is we'll wait and kind of see what the health of Ryan Olenek is on Friday night. He did not play against Southern Miss on Tuesday. He's pretty gimpy, so we'll. I expect him to play, but we'll see. And then Ole Miss has announced Will Etheridge as the Friday night starter, so it appears that the blister is not a problem moving forward, or at least gives Mike enough confidence to throw him out there on Friday against Kentucky. I need to see this. I have not seen Kentucky's rotation. I'm guessing they're still going to throw Thompson on Saturday. They've been doing that to try to win a game in the week and steal one and then see what they can do in the other 2 days. So if so, huge spot for Doug Nikhazy there against Thompson at Kentucky on Saturday. But Kentucky should be starting 3 left-handers as far as I know this weekend. So
they all throw soft.
Now there's some velocity there. They always recruited left-handed pitchers because of the way that park was set up, and they tried to get more advantage at home because of that little right field little league thing that was about 179 to the plate. But not really 179, but under 300 feet to the right field porch at Kentucky for all those years. So they try to pitch away from that best they can. But we're gonna go to Jeffrey in a minute. Again, a lot of golf. If you are not into that, you might want to skip for a day. I'll let you do that. I'll allow it this one time. Jeffrey and I can easily get off into the weeds on golf. We can get deeper than most people would probably like at times. But we give some opinions. We pick some winners. We pick some people that we don't think will win. And they're obviously already teed off. But if you're trying to look for some different things throughout the week, we probably can help with that a little bit. And, Jeffrey and I have talked about Augusta National a little bit in this. And the more I think about it, I likened it to the SEC tournament. the NCAA tournament in a lot of ways. Because the every fan, the sports fan, they like Augusta. They like the prettiness. They like that it's got all the pageantry, and it's got all this stuff about it, whereas the really deep golf fan is kind of annoyed by a lot of things by Augusta National. It doesn't necessarily... It's kind of like, well, it's entertaining, but is it good in a lot of ways and all these things? It's also a lot about, SEC recruiting a little bit, because we all love it, and the casual fan goes, hey, the pageantry... The really, really deep dive guy goes, well, I kind of know how the sausage is made. Kind of like with paying kids and recruiting and everything. It kind of works that way with golf, too, where we go, hey, there's more to this. And everybody likes it, but there is a really differing opinion. I think the more casual fan you are for golf, the more you like the Masters versus the other way around.
Yeah, I could see that. It's funny. I'm an incredibly casual golf fan, if I even get that far in the category. But I'm more apt to be interested in like the British Open down the stretch because of the wind and the stuff. And I like the U.S. Open just because it's fun to watch. Sometimes, unless they make it too hard, I like it when they struggle with the course. It kind of makes it interesting. What turns me off about the Masters is not the golf, and Augusta's obviously gorgeous, and it's the green jacket and all that stuff is cool and all that. What turns me off is just how serious the people that run the tournament take themselves. Like, I read the story about the guy that, and I'm not, look, going in, you don't need to try to steal some of the sand. But the guy that stole the sand and ended up getting arrested and charged him with all this stuff, and he basically damn near ruined his life and cost him a whole bunch of money in legal fees and stuff. Why can't you just kick the guy off the course and make him throw the sand, take the sand from him and kick him off the course? I mean,
the answer is they want to make it severe enough the next guy didn't do it.
And I know that.
That's the answer. It's an interesting deal because, and we're about to go to break. We'll let Jeffrey and I talk, but Augusta National is a private golf club. At the end of the day, they can do whatever they want. It's up to everyone else to decide whether they want to buy in or play or not play or anything else.
Sure. Oh, I'm totally. I'm with that completely.
So when we criticize Augusta National, there can be things that are not palatable for me, but at the end of the day, they can do whatever the crap they want.
Yeah, no one made you go. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, Jeffrey made the best point. If anything, they have injured American golf by making everyone think that every golf course should be overwatered and look like Augusta National, because Augusta National only looks like that for like a month out of the year.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So what does it look like on the other 11 months?
Well, it looks like it's brown or it's closed for like 5 months a year. I mean, yeah. They point to this. So everybody watches and goes, well, that's what a golf course in America should look like. Well, no, it's not. I mean, yeah, it's beautiful and it's in great shape, but that's not sustainable for 12 months, especially in the climates in the Southeast. Bermuda is a weed. Bermuda can turn brown and be baked out and be very healthy. It doesn't have to be green. You don't have to overwater constantly to keep a green golf course. Brown is good.
I've never thought about it that way. That's a valid point that he makes.
Yeah, because everybody looks and goes, "Oh, well, Augusta, that's beautiful." Well, yeah, of course.
Right, you're right. That I've never thought about it that way.
They also have, as Jeffrey said, an unlimited budget for doing anything they have to do to make that golf course look good. Anything. Figure out what it costs, divide it up, and send the members a bill. They'll pay it. So, yeah, you can't just replicate Augusta National. That's not doable. And then it makes golf courses close because they end up spending so much money on maintenance. So, anyway, just a little soapbox there. But anyway, we'll go to him in a second. First, tell you about Scripted Jewelry, scriptedjewelry.com. Go to see sizing guides, lookbooks, frequently asked questions, and much more. It's items handcrafted to order. Turnaround times are excellent. You can go ahead and get Mother's Day out of the way, get it done, be proud of what you have ordered. You can see different options for that at scriptedjewelry.com. They accept Mother's Day orders until April 25th. So you got a little time, you got a couple weeks, but do it now. Go ahead, put your special message on something for mom. You'll see recent work, you'll see new arrivals, and popular items there. And when you check out, you can save money in the process. REBELS10 in the coupon box to save 10% with scriptedjewelry.com.
Jeffrey Wright and all of our other guests join us on the Patterson and Earhart hotline. Patterson and Earhart, attorneys at law. They specialize in personal injury law and real estate law. But what they do is they provide a general practice that can really help anybody. So here's where you get an advantage as being a Rebel Grove subscriber, as being a Oxford Exxon podcast listener. Give these guys a call if you think you might have a legal issue. Got something happening that you're not sure whether it's actionable. You're not sure whether you might need an attorney. You're not sure whether it's worth pursuing. Get in touch with them. Tell them that you listen to the podcast, and they're going to give you a little extra time. That initial consultation is free. You get a chance to get some free legal advice, and then you take it from there. It's PELaws.com or 662-526-1992. You're going to get John Calvin Patterson or Wes Earhart on the phone within the same day, guaranteed. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or you have any other issues, give them a call. Reach out to them on their website. They'll take care of you. This podcast also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust, based in Madison, Mississippi, but it has clients in more than 20 states. What they do is they sit down with you and they help you get peace of mind, which is a pretty valuable thing. They come up with a plan for your retirement based on objective information and research, not a bunch of emotions, not a bunch of stuff. They sit down, they look at your level of wealth, they look at your expenses, they talk to you about your goals, about your dreams, and then they put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan. Cookie cutter financial planners put you in a box. They don't. They build a box for you. It's pintrust.com, PINN trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fee. And the podcast is brought to you by the Westin Jackson. They sponsored my mailbag that Chase referenced earlier in the show. The Westin Jackson, great place to stay if you're in Jackson for work, going through Jackson on your way somewhere, or in Jackson just to visit people or whatever the case may be. Westin Jackson is the place to stay. If you live in that area, it's still the place to go because they've got Soul Spa and they've got Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro. You can make a very relaxing day of it at the Westin Jackson. You can follow them on Twitter at Westin Jackson. And the podcast brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you're thinking about that golf trip, maybe the Masters gets you inspired this weekend. You say, hey, the guys and I, we're going to get together. We're going to do the big trip to Pebble Beach or to Scotland or St. Andrews or whatever the case may be. Get in touch with John. He'll take care of you. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. What you do is you give him a call. You say, hey, we're thinking about taking this golf trip for 5 days, and this is kind of roughly where we want to go. This is what we want to do, and this is how much we're willing to spend. And then sit back, let him do research, and come up with options that you're not going to find on your own. It's 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
Podcast is brought to you by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting that understands your market. They're a leader in condo financing and the float-down option, so you can lock in the current rate. But if rates go down before you close, you just get the lower rate. You can find them at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE@communitymtg.com. Now here's Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey, good morning. Happy Masters Week. I thought about you this morning. We're obviously going to talk a lot of golf. We're going to get there in a minute. But I was walking Carly Ann out to the car this morning. Mm-hmm. She looks over at me and goes, it's cold. It is 68 degrees outside right now. The child is basically a reptile.
A genius?
Genius, reptile, however you want to put it. It would be in the 50s, and she would put her hand over her face like the wind was blowing at her in Alaska.
Yeah, well, at least you got I at least personally think one of the biggest concerns as a parent that I would have is I would just be concerned that my child doesn't have a strong head on her shoulders or his shoulders. And at least you got that. You're done. Checkmate. Okay, we're good. Moving on.
Simply because she's cold-natured.
Absolutely.
I'm never going to get the thing. I might get the beach.
She's a keen observer of the human condition and is very aware of her settings.
She's never going to go, hey, let's go skiing this winter, I don't think.
Sounds like a win for you.
I think it's going to be, hey, let's go somewhere warmer because I'm freezing to death in July in Mississippi.
Yep, sounds like a win for you. You also don't have to worry about her moving to anywhere. Like you don't ever have to worry about visiting Minnesota in the winter.
Oh,
so there.
That's an underrated one because if your kid moves off in the middle of like the Great North, you've got to head up there occasionally.
I feel so bad for every Southern parent whose kid. Shout out to my friend Marshall and his parents that have to go visit him up in the city every single year. But yeah, no, I think that's a low key, especially if you're someone who's like born and raised in the South and you're also like me and a reptile. And then it's like. You feel like, God forbid, they also have grandkids that you want to see or anything. Like, think about like just how miserable you'd be like having to make that trip.
In 15 years, she's not like going to pull out college choices and goes, okay, Wisconsin or Penn State.
Yeah, that's another underrated one. And again, since we know that she's already cognizant of this at 2, correct?
Just turned 3.
Just turned 3. Now that she's cognizant of this at 3, the college choices are limitless. I mean, you're talking about Stanford trips, UCLA trips. I don't know what the great schools of Florida are, but I'm sure they're down there.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that. I mean, I legitimately told my college counselor at MUS that I did not want to go north of Virginia, and it had nothing to do with. I told her it had nothing to do with lifestyle. It had everything to do with the average temperature. And I said Virginia was pushing it.
Well, it's like, Kara has twin brothers, and one went to Boston College, and the other one's like, no, I'm going to Clemson. I'm good at Clemson. Let's not go to Boston College. Let's not do that. So, all right, let's get into some golf. Obviously, Masters beginning right now. First tee time just went off about 8 minutes ago, I think. It was Corey Connors and somebody else. I got beat up a little bit by a couple people on the message board for criticizing the Great Augusta National last week because I can see through all the pomp a little bit. We all love it, but let's not act like there's not warts there. Where do you kind of stand on this week, this club, everything kind of in general?
Okay, I'm glad to hear you say that. I didn't see you take shots. I didn't see shrapnel being fired your way, so I apologize for not being there. Okay, I've struggled with this all week, and you tell me this is what I've struggled with. We'll get into the Augusta thing in a minute, but I don't think I've ever been less jazzed for a Masters than I am this year.
Ooh.
Which makes 0 sense. 0. And I openly admit that. At this point in time, almost every single elite player, I guess you got to throw Spieth's not playing well. But with that being said, if Spieth ends up leading today, are you that stunned?
No, you're getting glimpses of Spieth. He's been teasing us in every first round. Where we go, okay, maybe.
And then there was the video images that came out of the Champions Dinner where he's doing some air swings with Jack, and then I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, well, Jack fixed him in 6 seconds, and it's over. And it's done, and Spieth's going to win. And you're right. He is the king right now of showing us. He's showing us, hey, I can shoot 65, but then it's, just an inexplicable, 5 over, 4 over out of nowhere, and you're left scratching your head. But this should be an awesome Masters moment. Tiger is playing reasonably well, and you've got somebody in the desert throwing 80,000 on him at 14-1. He's not an insane pick. I mean, Duval picked him last night. It's not insane. So you've got, the greatest golfer of his generation, arguably no worse than the number 2 player of all time to put a tee in the ground. Rory is playing well. Dustin Johnson is playing well. I guess Brooks is another outlier, but Brooks also falls into that category of you know what I mean? How he's playing before this doesn't matter to me. He's a big game hunter. I have a feeling he's gonna show up. But I think it's this. I do not think it's some of the Augusta problems that we've mentioned. I think it's that I am out on PGA Tour golf currently. And the rules, the way that they acted like spoiled, rotten little children with the whole new rules, it really, really soured me.
It's the way they act with everything.
And that's the point. It's it. Do I think some of these rules are the best thing? Do I think these new rules are the best thing ever? Well, no. But do I think every rule I have to follow is the best rule ever? Do I think speed limits are the best rules? No, but at the end of the day, that's what. Could you imagine having a workplace where you have a confined set of rules and you don't know them? Imagine going to your financial guy and he doesn't know the legal code, or going to your accountant that doesn't know the tax code, or doesn't know. By the way, the tax code gets updated I've noticed that accountants seem to be pretty sharp on what it is, like what's being updated.
Well, and we're not even talking about new rules. I mean, was it at Sawgrass that Tiger didn't even know he had the option to drop over there on the walkway?
Yeah, and that was just a yellow stake. Like, that wasn't even a new thing. That was just a yellow stake. So, and it's the way that they handled it. It's, you know, when your eyes get open to how much the PGA Tour protects them and you start to realize, and I understand why they do it. The PGA Tour is essentially set up exactly like a political party is, in which they are bound to the members of their institution. And I think that's what it is. I think it's that I'm out on PGA Tour golf, and then the way that the U.S. Ryder Cup team acted like absolute children in France yet again. Like, I think that's what it is. Does that make sense to you?
It does, and you're as patriotic when it comes to golf as anyone I know. I almost feel a little bit of a heel turn here, where in 2 years you're like going to be wearing some blue and yellow.
I don't think I'll be able to be a turncoat.
Okay. Because European Tour for actual golf fans, not the casual golf fan, is much more palatable.
Much more palatable. The guys seem to have a better sense of camaraderie, but
And on the joke, they're playing professional golf for a living.
Correct. And there also seems to be less, listen, I know all golfers have egos, but I think what it really boils down to is a lot of those guys that, I mean, Rory McIlroy didn't grow up playing the Dallas Athletic Club. You know, both his parents took second jobs so that he could play as much golf as possible. I wouldn't know.
Justin Rose missed like the first 20 cuts of his career.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy Fleetwood, like, all these guys are from like towns that it's not like, it's just such a different element. And so I think, you know, listen, we all knew the kid that grew up being a really elite junior golfer around our age. Most of us weren't great friends with him. You know? And that's kind of what these guys are. And it's, I don't know. I really do think that's what it is.
So what's going to snap you back into focus? Because you're too much of a golf fan to ignore it. So what's it going to take? Rory winning this week?
I think once the shots are fired and there's some movement on the leaderboard, because it doesn't even have to be Rory. I mean, like, I think I have to get into the golf tournament.
Okay.
I think it's the same thing for me with like, it's not quite this level, but it's similar to like when you get all the college basketball national writers out in March, like, and they're just pumping the tournament up. You're like, yeah, it's great. I know. Like, cool it.
But that's a good comparison, though. The Masters and the NCAA basketball tournament are the exact same thing. It's the basketball or the golf for the every fan, the everybody. We can all come in and get into this. It's pretty and there's contrast, and everybody's going, "Hey, who do you like in the Masters?" Well, who I like every year in the Masters, the guy that hits it long and straight. That's who I like.
Well, and that brings up a good point, because last night Golf Channel was doing, I can't remember if it's like, I'll tell you what it was. It was the piece on Patrick Reed, but included in that was Norman and all his failures. And then I'm watching it, I'm like, God, Dustin Johnson really is Greg Norman. But you know what? Dustin doesn't get the choking. Like, Dustin Johnson does not have nearly the label of choker that Greg Norman does. And it occurred to me, it's like, oh yeah, because Greg Norman had lots of spectacular ones, but his biggest ones were at Augusta. And Dustin doesn't really have a big Augusta choke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's had some backdoor, like he's backdoored his way into the top 10 the last 3 or 4 of them, but I don't think he's ever like had a chance to win. But because his big chokes don't occur at the Masters, I don't think he has the same reputation that Norman does.
Had you swapped it out and Dustin's Whistling Straits and Chambers Bay had been both at Augusta, he'd be known as the American Greg Norman.
Yes, because as you pointed out perfectly, this is the week that average sports fan watches golf. I throw out the caveat, unless the mock turtleneck is in the hunt on Saturday or Sunday, that was awesome.
Take a break in our talk with Jeffrey to tell you about Master Cuts Lawn and Landscape. You know they provide premium lawn care throughout North Mississippi, basic maintenance. They do all that, but they offer a lot more. They also build custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks. They handle lighting and all outdoor living spaces with paver patios, forestry mulching, and much, much more. The path to your dream backyard may be easier than you think. You can see them online at gomastercuts.com, and you get a free quote either there or give them a call at 662-607-7773. Again, that's gomastercuts.com.
The podcast is also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, that's the place to go. Couldn't recommend it more highly. Gene and Sandy Grass have been friends of this podcast, friends of our site for a long time. They will take extra care of you. If they've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals there as well. So go in, test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy you heard about Grenada Nissan here on the podcast or at rebelgrove.com, and you'll get Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And we're brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's also a big part of Savannah Square. It's a new 9-acre development, 0.7 of a mile from the Oxford downtown square. It's conveniently located east of North Lamar, just a short stroll from the Midtown Shopping Center, from Volta, Handy Andy, the Oxford Canteen. Savannah Square will initially consist of 32 standalone homes ranging in size from about 1,100 square feet to about 2,400 square feet. The model home is available for your inspection at 215 William Street. These homes have wonderful layouts, impeccable finishes, which you can inspect at the model. So give Harry a call if you're coming in this weekend for the series, coming in a couple of weeks for A&M and also Double Decker, whatever the case may be. Get in touch with Harry, take a look at the model, get more information about this great new development while units are still available. You can view more at SavannahSquareOxford.com or call Harry or text Harry at 662-801-5621. Now back to Jeffrey Wright on the Patterson and Earhart hotline.
By the way, did you see that press conference?
You sent it to me, and I'd already watched a little bit anyway, so that's where I wanted to go. I want to go to Tiger Woods for a second because are we just going back to the early 2000s, the late 90s?
Do you see the exact time moment that I linked it?
Oh, no, I did not actually click your link. I apologize. Which one was it?
So I time linked it specifically to the guy asking, are you serious with the mock turtlenecks?
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. I saw that. So here's, for everybody else that hasn't watched this, Tiger Woods gets to the press conference yesterday. He's wearing his head cover logo on his shirt, which I absolutely would wear, by the way. And,
I agree.
And two, he admits that on Thursday he's going back to the mock turtleneck. I mean, we're bringing Frank commercials back almost at this point. Like, what are we doing other than trying to channel 2002 here?
Well, maybe that's kind of what he needs. Like, it's also why I don't buy the, you never forget how to win. I think he's mentally trying to like psych himself into this. I do think I can't remember if I sent you the numbers or what, but if you look at iron play from 175 to 200 yards, which is where I'm expecting based on the weather this week, it's where a lot of these approaches are going to come in. He's still the number one iron player. And so he very much, if you tell me that he is in the thick of this on Sunday, I don't have a huge contest with that. But I do think he's got some major scar tissue. And so maybe he's trying to psych himself into it. Somehow I wound up on a YouTube rabbit hole with a 60 Minutes thing he did with like 60 Minutes Australia. And they started it had to have been, it was still, it was pre-scandal. And so do you remember Tiger hitting the golf ball on the moon in the spacesuit?
Yes.
I need that to come back. Like that was one of those ones that are like, oh yeah, God, I forgot about these. I need some Buick commercials. Like, get your crap together, Buick. GM, get off your high horse. Let's go back. Let's sell some Buick Enclaves. Let's just bring it back because you know that not only is Nike sitting on their hands and knees going, dear God, please let him win. Please please. We will do anything. We will bring back mock turtlenecks. We will listen. You name it, we'll do it. And so I think that's where they are.
Because you completely believe Tiger called Nike and goes, "Hey, you got any of those mocks laying around?" Not the other way around.
Well,
and Nike goes, whatever, sure, whatever it takes, Tiger. It's all good.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's coincidental that included on the script for Tiger's Augusta attire, there also was a link to buy new mock turtlenecks at only $85 retail.
Ooh.
I know. It's like a deal.
If there's one item of clothing that I can never pull off, it's a mock turtleneck.
If there's one item of clothing even Tiger Woods can't pull off, it's a mock turtleneck.
At least they got done with the blade collars.
I don't know. I don't know what's worse. Now, I am a little woke on 0 major championships with blade collars, and I don't know how many did he win wearing a mock.
A lot.
I am a little woke on that.
What's Rory wearing this week? Are we going like spring Southern pastels? What are we doing?
He has been less Nike-y, less schmediums this year with the blade collars, but I actually didn't even, I'm telling you, man, like this is the least prepared I've ever been.
But you don't have to be prepared for the Masters.
I know, but like I didn't look at scripts. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm in a weird spot, man.
I mean, I got 2 guys in the Calcutta this week, and one guy won the par 3 contest, so I can completely erase that out of that flight.
At Wallace, because
This is like the 3rd flight. It's fine.
Yeah, or Sandy Lyle. Sorry, I'm presuming it wasn't Sandy Lyle.
No, it was Matt Wallace.
I don't know. I'm in a weird spot, and I think it's like the same thing. It's like, getting back to your original point, like the reverence for this place that at times has had some. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Clifford Roberts was a wild racist, and not even by judging him on today's standards. Like, for the time, he was a wild racist. And they do this whole Mr. Jones and Bobby Jones. Like, yeah, but Augusta National, as it is today, and the club itself was way more of a Clifford Roberts institution than it was a Bobby Jones institution. The golf course, they always, talk about McKenzie and Mr. Jones. It's like basically the only thing that exists from Alistair McKenzie's golf design is the routing of the holes, and even the 9s have been flipped. So there is definitely that whole element. There is definitely it feels like everything, like every nice thing that's said about it is said at gunpoint. And then what I really think it boils down to for me, it's less of that. Like, I mean, because, hey, at the end of the day, this is a private golf club hosting an awesome tournament. If they want to go on a PR run, they have every right to do that.
Yeah,
and
private golf clubs can do whatever they want.
Right. And I'm not one of these guys that sits here and comes from a chair of moral superiority. I think what bothers me the most is that because we've mentioned that this is when everyone's watching golf, or the most people are watching golf. What drives me insane is that every dumbass that runs a golf course, particularly in the southeastern part of the United States, turns this tournament on and sits there and sees, $100,000 pine trees, everything's green, and they sit there and go, I'm getting my course to look like that. And it's created this unsustainable approach to golf. Everything's overwatered. It's created a bad precedent for golf, because everyone turns this on and goes, my God, that thing looks like a freaking painting or a movie set. Like,
not realizing that even that place looks like that for about 17 days a year.
Correct. And also not realizing that hey, man, in about a month, that thing's closed down until basically, I think it opens back up in October. And then on top of that, I don't know how many Fortune 500 CEOs are on that board. Like, they have an unlimited budget. Like, so I think that bothers me more. Augusta could, if it just in terms, honestly, I'd look past all of the questionable social decisions, and even by, like even the women's amateur thing, like that was a lot of self-congratulation.
That's what I was getting popped about.
Yeah, that was a lot of farting into your own empty glass of wine and sniffing it. I would look past all of that if they would set a better trend in terms of what I think golf course architecture and sustainability in terms of golf courses should be. Like, God forbid there be a blade of grass on that place that isn't green.
Yeah, I mean, like we had talked on the podcast. Like, we went to West Point last week. Jeffrey very high on playing Mossy Oak instead of Waverly last week. Could not. Congratulations to everyone involved. That I could not have been higher on Mossy Oak in terms of. Neither one of us played particularly well. No,
and we both had a blast.
It's a very playable golf course. It's a great layout.
Super playable.
If you're a bad player, it's very wide, and if you're a good player, you better freaking have the right angle in, or you're going over a bunch of crap.
You better play on the right side. You better not only that, you better leave yourself at the appropriate angle. And I mean, I'm dying to get back and play it when it's a little firmer, because we played it.
It was wet. It played long.
Apparently, it's monsoon season here in the South. So we played it during the middle of monsoon season, but I'd like to play it, like when number two was clearly designed to where if you hit a good shot down the right side of the fairway, that ball would roll out to a reasonable number. But we played it when it was soaking wet.
It was driver hybrid in.
Ooh, man, I think I could have hit 3-wood.
Yeah. And
I didn't exactly, if you didn't get that hill, and we played it into the wind. But yeah, no, I think that was a fantastic experience, and if you haven't had the opportunity, you should go down and do that.
So let's reverse it a little bit, because again, when you're picking winners of the Masters, everybody's just picking the best players and the guys who hits it very straight and all this stuff. So who's not going to win? Out of the top 10, 15, 20 guys, who do you not like this week?
Patrick Reed.
Well, yeah, no, Patrick Reed and Brooks Koepka are the two to me that are not going to win this golf tournament.
Justin Thomas.
Okay. But why?
I started looking at Apex numbers. He doesn't hit it nearly as high as I thought he did.
I love Jeffrey going, I'm not really prepared this week. And he goes, well, I was looking at Apex numbers. And
okay, but you got to also remember, I am kind of like I guess let's call a spade, like a nerd. But at the same time, it's like every person I know in my life is texting me. And so, give me a winner. It's like, and I'm not just going to be like, hey, go look at the Vegas odds. Like, so I had to come up with some thoughts. And it's like, okay, well, let's see who's playing well, who's played well here. Like, I don't think JT hits it high enough. Let's see. Here's some other big names that I don't like.
Fowler.
Yeah, I don't think Ricky. I think last year he was hot, but God, if the cut were more difficult to make, I think Ricky's really trending for a nice MC here. So congrats to 2009 champion Masters champion Ricky Fowler. Congrats, buddy. You made it happen.
So
don't Ricky. Do you trust Justin Rose to win?
No, because he hadn't done it. He's screwed it up multiple times. I know you got to go 2 minutes here. One, let's talk Rory for these 2 minutes. First, his press conference, he got back-to-back questions of, hey, can you remember about 2009, a round with Anthony Kim? And Rory had completely forgotten he'd even played with Anthony Kim 10 years ago. And 2, the next question was, what's the best book you've read in a year? He got a weird press conference yesterday.
Yeah. Well, not only it wasn't just the Anthony Kim question. It was the way the question was asked.
Because he never said Anthony Kim. He just goes, "Hey,
right,
that round in 09."
You can go low here. You've seen a pretty great round, and then the guy had to and Roy was like, "Excuse me," he goes, Anthony Kim, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, 10 years ago, sweet." Yeah, but he did actually. I thought he ended up on the spot giving pretty good answers to the book thing, because my answers would have been, "I don't read."
Well, because he doesn't. What I love about Rory is he doesn't give the media what they want because he's just honest. Because the guy goes, "How great would it be to play with Tiger Woods on a Saturday?" And Rory's basically answer was, "Well, as long as I'm in the final group on Saturday, I really don't give a hell who's with me. Who gives a crap?"
Yes.
It can be Eddie Pepperell for all I care.
Yes. Well, as long as I'm playing well, I'm good with that.
Yeah. So, all right, who's winning this thing?
I'll say DJ. I don't know why, but I'll say DJ.
He has. Well, it's full circle. I mean, we don't know. He's got some top 10s, but he's never been in contention here.
Yeah, but in the year that he was going to win it, he slipped down some stairs. Wonder how that happened.
Yeah. What are we talking about on Calkins show today?
I guess the end of the Grizzlies season. Who knows?
Can you start draft talk now?
Oh, buddy, we turned the page several months ago.
Okay, fair enough. Have a good day. Appreciate it, bud.
All right.
Thanks to Jeffrey this morning. He had a really busy day, so we moved it around a little bit. Thanks for helping us out, giving us that amount of time this morning on the first day of the Masters, and with him handling most of 929 today. So, again, appreciate him. Also appreciate G&M Pharmacy there on South Lamar in Oxford. They've been with us for a while. And you know by now that you can transfer your medications easily. You don't have to stay with the big chains. You can switch on over to G&M where they will know you. They'll take care of you, get you out quickly. 662-236-2222. So all you got to do, you give them a call. They handle everything else for you. They deliver local in the Oxford area. They offer MedSync, which will sync up your medicines, have them to you when you need to take them on schedules at the right time. So you don't overpay, you don't get too many. You get just what you need with G&M. They also offer the CBD oil we've been telling you about. It's in multiple different forms. It is FDA approved. It is available in all 50 states, including there at G&M. You're not getting crazy side effects. Just going to maybe make you feel better. You can find out more about that and more at 662-236-2222.
Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. What OUB gives you is the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. They also offer Kasasa. It's the absolute best cash checking account out there. Pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000. And they offer a commercial checking account that is now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. Comes with fully interactive online banking. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. There's kind of a lively thread on rebelgrove.com today. I guess it started yesterday. I don't know. About Blue Delta jeans. You can see Blue Delta jeans up close and personal and check them out for yourself at their 5-year anniversary party. It is Sunday, April the 28th on the square in Oxford. You're invited to join the great people of Blue Delta Jeans for music, Bloody Marys, Big Bad Breakfast Biscuits, and obviously blue jeans from 10 to 2. They're going to launch their spring-summer line of denim and Holland and Sherry, and it's the same studio that's created custom patterns for Jason Isbell and John Lester and Joe Madden and NFL champs, Eli Manning, NASCAR drivers, Oscar Award winners, and more. So you can join that exclusive company just by coming to the party, checking it out. It's a private event. Blue Delta Jeans is inviting all of our listeners to go. So check them out on Instagram and Twitter, and then slide into their DMs. Let them know you're coming. Give them your name, your number, how many people are in the party. If you don't want to do social media, that's okay. You can send an email. It's info@bluedeltajeans.com, And yes, the Bloody Marys, the Big Bad Breakfast Biscuits are complimentary. It's a party. You're invited. You're a guest. We told you that listening to us would pay off, and there you go. You get to be one of the cool kids. Sunday, April the 28th, on the Square in Oxford for Blue Delta Jeans' birthday party. Bloody Marys, biscuits, and blue jeans. Hard to beat that.
Podcast host. And podcast host.
And podcast host. And podcast
You always
host.
forget that.
Yeah, I do. Did you see this? It's funny. It's not funny. It's funny for anybody not named Lori Loughlin. She thought the district attorney was bluffing, so she rejected the first plea, and now they're added charges. I don't want to steal this line. I'm going to use it, but I'm going to give proper credit where it goes. This is Whitney McIntosh, who I don't know. She's an editor at MLB.com. She used to be with SB Nation. She says that Loughlin clearly thought the DA had a pair of fives, but what they really had was a full house.
So, I mean, my skepticism notwithstanding, just because I'm always skeptical about anything when it comes to a lot of stuff like this and anything else doing criminal related, is she looking at like substantial jail time? Like, what is the deal going on with her at the moment?
I'm pulling it up now. I'm looking to see.
And what are they actually being jailed for? What is the actual crime?
Okay.
Is it fraud?
It's fraud. It's I'm looking for the exact charges. Hang on. This is a little
because the crime is stupidity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no big deal. Just...
Conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services mail fraud.
So we don't really know what we're popping you with, but you did something stupid, so we're going to pop you with something.
As such, they now face a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison.
Well, that's not going to happen.
20 of, and nor should it.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, I'm not trying to be the bleeding heart here, but locking Lori Loughlin up is not making society a safer place. There's a better way for her to pay a penance for her.
Frankly, shaming her is about the best you can do.
Well, and make her do some meaningful community service.
No doubt about that.
Make them establish some scholarships rather than just paying a thing. Make them pay that price in the form of establishing some scholarships for kids who have difficult times getting scholarships. I don't know. Come up with something. But throwing her in a federal prison for 20 years doesn't serve any real purpose, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's not changing society.
Not even a little bit.
No one in her neighborhood's going, hey, Lori Loughlin moved in, we are in trouble.
But, yeah, there are people out there that say if that happens, it's, I don't even like to use the word.
The law's the law.
The law's the law, and she's getting favorable treatment because she's rich, and she's getting favorable treatment because whatever. I'm not saying she shouldn't pay a price, but God, let's face it, she is paying a price.
It's just so stupid. It's all so stupid. Again, she should be penalized for being stupid.
And the people who say that the kids didn't know.
Oh, come on.
No, I actually believe that the kids didn't know.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm totally serious. I think because
they photoshopped kids' heads on recruiting posters.
I know. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I can see the scenario where the kids themselves had no idea this was going on.
Oh, good grief!
I do, or not to the extent that it was going on.
Extent maybe, but that they didn't have some idea what's up. I'm having a hard time there.
Well, now the one that ends up on the soccer scholarship.
Yeah, she had to play a part in that.
I mean, she knew she didn't play soccer.
Yeah. I mean, if you never put an oar in your hand, you're on the crew team suddenly.
Yeah, you have to. An alarm bell should go off.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
See, Missouri's offense, the most recent one to get criticized by the NFL, or at least by people who cover the NFL. Story this morning from SB Nation. While Drew Lock could have more upside than showed at Mizzou, Drew Lock had pro quarterback potential, but it spent most of his time at Missouri in a variety of simpler spread schemes. The interesting part of that is the NFL has become a spread system.
Well, it's the reason that Kyler Murray might go number one.
Yeah.
It's the reason that Baker Mayfield thrived in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, Ole Miss has a short quarterback. They're going to move the pocket for Matt Corral.
Would you want Drew Lock to be your quarterback at the NFL?
What are my choices?
If you're the New York Giants, would you want to draft Drew Lock?
Well, Eli's had a hell of a career, but he's in his mid to late 30s.
If you're the New Orleans Saints, would you consider drafting Drew Lock?
This is going to sound like a cop-out answer. If Sean Payton believed in him, yeah. Okay. If I'm the general manager, I'd sit down with Sean Payton and say, what do you think? And if he goes, he can do it, yeah.
Okay.
I like Locke. I've liked him for years. I like him for many of the same reasons that I liked Eli Manning so much coming out of college. He's not surrounded by pro talent. He's had to carry a team. And he didn't do it as well as Eli did it, but he did it pretty well. He's the reason that a guy like you, and you're valid. I mean, I'm not arguing it. He's the reason that a guy like you, if you kind of boil this down, looks at, when you look at Ole Miss's schedule and you see at Missouri, you say, well, Locke's not there, and I don't know what they'll be without him, so that's a maybe.
Mm-hmm.
If Drew Lock were going into his senior year this year,
you go L.
You would go L. You go, that's an L. That's a loss. They're not winning there. So that's pretty. I like him. I think he's got a lot of tools. I mean, is he Dan Marino, John Elway, that kind of quarterback? No, but I could see him having success in the NFL.
Yeah. I think I buy it. I do. Kyler Murray makes me nervous just because of where you have to take him.
I'm going to be honest. If you told me that I could have Murray at 1 or Locke at 10, I'd rather have Locke at 10. Kyler Murray's 5'9", and I'm scared to death of 5'9". And when everybody goes, well, Drew Brees, Drew Brees is historically accurate. Throw that out.
And throws off his tiptoes.
Yeah. Throw him out. He doesn't count. He's an outlier.
It is the NFL version of every time they recruit something, any school recruits goes, well, Patrick Willis was. Yes, you are absolutely right.
It's like, Isaiah Thomas was 6 foot and a dominant NBA point guard. And every time there's a 6 foot point guard, someone goes, well, Isaiah Thomas, but he was an absolute freaking freak. I mean, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't want a taller guy at that spot. I mean, Allen Iverson was a freak. People talk about, I'm not picking on Breon Tyree right here, but someone said Breon to the NBA. I like Breon a lot, but Breon's not going to be a shooting guard in the NBA. 5'11" shooting guards don't happen in the NBA. It just don't happen. It just don't work. I mean, I have no problem at all with Breon testing the NBA draft waters. In fact, I think it's smart. Get out and get some evaluation. I hope for his sake that when he gets the criticism that he listens to it. Because if Breon truly wants to play in the NBA, he has to completely change himself as a defender, and he has to completely change his ball handling skills. He's got to become an elite ball handler.
I know it hasn't actually started yet, but you seem really calm. How locked in are you on these NBA playoffs?
I'm really calm about them. I mean, I don't expect the Thunder to do anything. I'm excited about some of the series because they're really going to be fun. From a viewing standpoint, I can't wait to watch, for example, Jazz Rockets. That's gonna be great. I mean,
for the casual NBA fan, here are the first round matchups in the NBA playoffs. We got in the East, the Bucks and the Pistons, the 1-8 matchup.
That will not be particularly entertaining. Milwaukee's very good. They'll roll through that.
Boston and Indiana, the 4-5.
It's a good series. It's like most 4-5 series. It could go either way. I mean, you hate that Victor Oladipo's out for the Pacers, but it's a good series. Brad Stevens coaching playoff games in Indianapolis is kind of a fun little sidebar. The Celtics have kind of underachieved all year, but the potential's there.
76ers Nets, the 3-6.
You know what? The Nets are kind of fun. The Sixers are going to win the series, but this is going to be the beginning of what is going to be a very eventful couple of months for the Brooklyn Nets. They are D'Angelo Russell is having a tremendous season and really changing the path of that franchise. They've got a bunch of other good young players. They've got 2 complete open slots. They're a sneaky threat for Kevin Durant, and they could get someone else too. This might be as low as the Nets are seeded for a long time.
Raptors Magic wrapping up the East, the 2-7.
I don't anticipate a particularly competitive series there. Toronto's really good, and they've been frankly very good since they added Marc Gasol, and as they've kind of figured it out. The Eastern Conference, you pretty much have to get to the second round before the series gets super compelling, but they will be super compelling this year because there's 3 to 4 teams in the East that have a chance to get to the finals. You're about to mention the West, and the West is
well. Last thing with the East there, where are we going through? Do the Celtics count, or are they the last team that could win the East?
There's 3 teams at the top that absolutely could win. Milwaukee,
Sixers, Raptors, and Bucks.
Yeah, they all 3 could win. And if you told me Boston won, I'd be surprised, not shocked. Anybody else, I'd be stunned. Okay. But there's 3 teams that are legitimate contenders to make the NBA Finals.
In the West, the 1-8 is the Golden State Warriors and the LA Clippers.
It won't be a particularly competitive series. It does tell you just how good of a coach Doc Rivers is, and much like what we said about the Nets, it's the Clippers, not the Lakers, that have a chance to make a splash this offseason.
The 2-7 is the Denver Nuggets and the San Antonio Spurs, and I'll be honest, I had no idea the Nuggets were the 2 seed until about a week and a half ago.
Well, they've had a fantastic season. Jamal Murray's been really good. Nikola Jokic is an MVP candidate. I mean, he'll get top 5 votes at MVP. They are an elite team. They've faded a little bit down the stretch, but they're very, very good. I think they put too much energy into trying to figure out their seed, and it kind of got them in a screwy spot. But their series against the Spurs will be it'll be fun to watch. Pop's got a nice team down there that nobody talks about, and LaMarcus Aldridge is playing well, and they've got other guys that are good, and that I think Denver wins that series, but if you told me it went 7 games, I'm not remotely surprised.
The winner of that series gets either the Oklahoma City Thunder as the 6 or the Portland Trailblazers as the 3.
This will not be a series I will enjoy because I'll be cheering. I wish that I could detach myself completely because it will be a really fun series. Nurkic, the big center for Portland, broke his leg about 9 games ago. He's obviously out. They added Enes Kanter to their team, which has made them a fun offensive team. But Kanter is a major defensive liability, as the Thunder know all too well. And the Thunder will probably try to play him off the floor. Oklahoma City won its last 5 games. Westbrook's playing at a really high level. Jeremy Grant, Terrence Ferguson are playing at high levels. Paul George is battling a shoulder issue that is probably the storyline that will most impact how far they can go. 5 games ago, the Thunder were in real danger of being the 8 seed and being run out of the playoffs quickly. They have to wake up this morning and say this is literally, given as bad as they've played for most of the second half of the season, and for a while they were pretty bad. They have to say to themselves, this is literally the best case scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even casual, but if you told me they had at least the glimmer of a path to the Western Conference Finals, I would believe it.
Oh, they absolutely do. They swept Portland in the season series, and that was with Jerkic playing. Now look, they'll have their hands full with Dame Lillard, C.J. McCollum, and that's a good team. Portland's good, and Portland and the Thunder don't like each other. If you don't care about the NBA, that's a series you'll enjoy because it's going to get chippy first quarter of game one and just get worse as it goes, and it's got a chance to be a 7-game series, and that has a chance to be an epic 7th game. But, yeah, I mean, if you told me the Thunder won that series and then get Denver or the Spurs and had a shot yeah, I buy it. They've got a path, and frankly, they are 2.5 weeks removed from whispers in Oklahoma City of if they end up the 8 and get run out unceremoniously, I should say, by the Warriors, there's decisions to make regarding Billy Donovan. There's decisions to make regarding Russell Westbrook. I mean, that was the stuff that was getting whispered there, and they've kind of overcome it. They closed well, and that will be, if you just want to watch a basketball series, that will be entertaining.
And then the right to play the Warriors in the second round will go to either the Houston Rockets or the Utah Jazz.
And this is the series that if you have to carve out time to watch one series and only one series, this is the series to watch. This is the series to watch. Because Utah with Rudy Gobert in the middle, it's a game changer, man. Are you familiar with him at all?
A little bit, yeah.
He's a mountain of a man. He's going to win defensive MVP, and he should. He changes games, and he changes games for the Chris Pauls and the James Hardens of the world. And then what the Jazz have is Donovan Mitchell playing a lot better as the season's gone on. They've got shooters like Ingles. They're a good team. They really are. They negate a lot of what makes Houston great. And then that second round, whether it's Warriors Jazz or Warriors Rockets, either one of those two teams can really stress Golden State. Golden State's going to cruise through the first round, and then it's going to get different for them. Look, I think they're going to the finals. I think they're going to win the finals. But this is going to be a completely different path for them because the West is better. They've made the West get better. And they could face a Rockets team in the second round that gives them problems. They could face a Utah team that, Utah made a deep playoff run last year. They beat Oklahoma City in 6, and then they played Houston. So it's a young team that now has playoff experience. They'll be more dangerous. That Utah-Houston series will be a lot of fun.
So we'll be back tomorrow with another Oxford Exxon podcast. Again, plenty of coverage at rebelgrove.com, some baseball stuff, Neil's mailbag, and more. So we'll talk to you then.